Well, hello, beautiful people. Welcome back. Well, let's see. Where are we? Chapter 7. We're moving right along. Acquiring and integrating businesses. Let's start right off with some of the fun definitions, and hopefully we can come up with some good examples for you. An acquisition is when a firm purchases controlling interest in another firm with the intention of either making it a subsidiary or combining with current business or businesses. And when we're looking at a subsidiary, it's a company whose voting stock is more than 50% controlled by another company, and I took that from Investopedia. A takeover is a specialized type of acquisition in which the target firm reacts negatively to the acquiring firm's offer. This type of acquisition in particular is probably better known as the hostile takeover. And then we jump right into a merger, as the definitions go. It's basically when two companies become one. This decision is usually mutual between both firms. And again, I use Investopedia to help me with the explanations of some of these definitions. Okay. Let's see what else I got going on here. So, as we're moving along in this chapter, here in Chapter 7, they talked about the horizontal acquisition, which is between firms that make and sell similar products or services in similar markets. And they give a great example, I thought, when they used the airlines, in particular the airline industry. And within the industry, they give an example of an airline buying another airline, which is an example of a horizontal type of acquisition. Firms gain scales economies via the horizontal acquisitions, which ought to lead to reduce costs. Let's talk about the vertical acquisition. Now, the vertical acquisition is between firms that operate at different but related levels in the production and marketing of a product. And the example I have here from your textbook is the purchase by a firm of its supplier or distributor. Vertical acquisition. All right, now, like I have been doing here for the last couple of chapters, I've been enjoying it. Hopefully you are too. I give you a test type of question, not the question, but a type of question that you'll see here in your final exam in this case. And I think it will help because it helps build that application process too as we're thinking about the question. With the question, and when you put together your response back to me, it can be through again Skype, an email, or whatever works best for you. But make sure that you don't just give me the choice C or whatever the case might be. Give me a little bit of an explanation of why you believe your response is the correct response, and we'll go from there. So here we go. Today's question, chapter question. Jim's manufacturing of leather goods over the last few years has had an increasingly difficult time in obtaining high quality, unblemished Alaska salmon skins. That's right, salmon skins. Its main oh, there's my New England accent. Its main source of salmon skins is through a company called Kodiak Commercial Fishermen's Inc. And of course, this same company also has a number of other customers, not just Jim's Manufacturing, which would be leather manufacturing or leather good manufacturing. So anyways, Jim's management team has decided to enter into acquisition negotiations. And of course that would be with the Alaskan salmon skins in order to gain control over the salmon skins output. This is an example of a merger, B, a horizontal acquisition. C, a hostile takeover. Or D, a vertical acquisition. So you choose, you figure out which would be the best one. Let me know and give me your reasons why, and we'll go from there and we'll just discuss it. Remember, we have a for the class a Facebook page. That's a great place just to go on. We can chat about it there. Of course, I have Skype. We have email. So I try to make this as easy as possible for us to be able to communicate, because obviously that's vital to the process of ensuring everyone, or at least as much as possible, everyone understands the concepts. Okay, next. When an exciting acquisition opportunity occurs, setting aside the firm's basic strategy can be, are you ready for this? A major mistake. A major mistake. I like to use, as you know from my background with teaching small business classes, I like to use a small business case study as a good example here. It was a small business case study that dealt with a restaurant. The two owners were in a partnership, a general partnership, and the two owners were opening up a restaurant with a unique menu. It was a sit-down type of restaurant, but here's where they made their error early in the process. Their lender, the people who they went to and were able to secure some debt financing for their business, they said, hey, we'd love to help you out, and we'd like to do so through a series of different events for the bank where you basically have it catered to for our events. You do it right there at your restaurant, and then we'll come to your restaurant, and it'll just be closed to the public on those nights. Now, first, it's closed to the public, so you're turning away your customers. But some of the things they didn't realize until they said yes, because it was exciting, right? The exciting acquisition opportunity. Well, in this case, it was the excitement of being able to have this secure amount of money coming into the restaurant. But they had to get new equipment. Their personnel weren't trained in the area. They didn't have enough personnel for events that had that many people showing up at once. Again, they're turning away their traditional customers at the door because they're holding a closed event. And this exciting acquisition ended up costing a lot of money. And on top of that, the bank would give them 25-30% as a down payment. The rest of the money was invoiced, which means it took up to 60 days for them to get 70% of the money, the payment. So what do you do with your cash flow for those 60 days that you're waiting on that money to come in, and you had all these unexpected expenses because it was so exciting? Now, in this case study, the business almost went under. I know you're thinking, well, in a large business, one incident like that won't put them under. You're right. It probably won't. But if your management style or leadership styles allows no types of controls and checks and balances, and your cash flows start to go into low reserves or negative, and of course with negative cash flow, you're at the point now where you have to start selling off assets or start thinking about closing your doors. So it's not a good thought process to just jump in like that. It's best to do your due diligence, which we're going to talk about next. Make sure that this is a good deal. Make sure it fits your culture, it fits your business, it's who you are. Due diligence, I have here, it is the rational process by which acquiring firms evaluate target firms, verifying the reason for the proposed transaction. You're going to be ensuring a sound justification, both strategically and financially, before acquiring a firm. So you're doing your due diligence, you're doing your research. Beware the winner's curse. I know that sounds pretty backwoods, doesn't it? But there is such a thing called the winner's curse, which was covered in your chapter. And this happens when multiple buyers bid up the price of a target of a target firm, and the ultimate buyer ends up paying much higher than what the original market value was estimated at. The winner's curse. All right, moving on here. Okay. So, what else I want to touch on? Oh, the term divestiture, which is selling off or otherwise disposal of a firm's assets to achieve a desired objective, such as greater liquidity or reduced debt burden. And I was able to find that definition not only in your text but also at businessdefinition.com. A debenture is a transaction in which businesses are sold to other firms or spun off as independent enterprises. And for this particular review, chapter review, leveraged buyouts was discussed. This is a restructuring strategy in which a party buys all or part of a firm's assets in order to take the firm or part of the firm private. Of course, you're going from what, like an open corp to a closed type of corporation. All right, we went through, again, a lot of material quite rapidly. If you have any questions, feel free to get a hold of me. Be proactive. I knew you knew that was coming. And we'll talk again here real soon. And for lack of a finer ending, Jim out.